We head straight to our first report tonight, where President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to sign the 2023 appropriation bill on Tuesday, January 3, 2023. Senate President Ahmed Lawan confirmed this today after a visit to the president in his office. Lawan told State House correspondents that he had briefed the Nigerian leader on the passage of the appropriation bill, the 2022 supplementary appropriation bill, and the finance bill, as well as the general elections, among other issues of national interest. He noted that while the National Assembly looked forward to the presidential assent on the first workday of the new year, the delay in the passage of the bill was due to some anomalies in the figures presented to the lawmakers. In the last 4 years, this would be the first appropriation bill to be assented to by the president after the new year. Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC). Her reappointment was made known via the agency's Twitter handle today. Recall that her first tenure ended November 2, 2022, making Dr. Monica Emunjeze take over as the acting DG of the agency on November 12, 2022. In the meantime, President Buhari has stated that $400 million have been spent by his administration to transform the Ajaokuta steel complex in Kogi State. He said the investment made in the steel company will add $1.6 billion in income to the Nigerian economy and create over 500,000 estimated jobs. According to the president, no other single project holds the key to unlocking the potentials of the state as much as the Ajaokuta steel complex, which his administration inherited as a long moribund complex. President Buhari, who was welcomed by Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello, spoke of the determination of his administration to position the state as an industrial hub, as well as a solid mineral power base. President Buhari has mourned Brazil's football legend Pelé, describing him as one whom the world will never forget for his contributions to the game. Pelé died at 82 after fighting a colon, joining world leaders and footballers to mourn the legendary Brazilian. According to a statement made by the presidential aide, Garba Shehu, President Buhari's tribute said Pelé had led a good life and made a huge contribution to the development of global football and world sports. President Buhari's tribute also noted that Pelé had an enormous generosity of spirit and humility, despite his greatness as a footballer and sportsman. Away from that, the federal government says about 33.3 million Nigerians have been given access to potable water. It said the feat was achieved from 10,053 water supply schemes and projects developed in urban centers, and 761 of the water schemes supplying potable water to 32,008,600 Nigerians were developed by the government between 2016 and 2022. Reports say a total of 3,292 water supply projects serving a population of 5,262,189 people were jointly developed by the federal government in partnership with states, local governments, communities, donor agencies, and development partners. On judiciary matters, Justice Mariam Hassan of the Federal Capital Territory High Court Abuja has suppressed the move by the Department of State Services (DSS) to charge the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, with terrorism and economic crimes of national security. Justice Hassan also barred the DSS from arresting, inviting, or detaining Emefiele, declaring the terrorism allegations against the CBN governor by the DSS as vindictive, callous, oppressive, and of no effect. In a judgment on the originating summons filed by the Incorporated Trustees of Forum for Accountability and Good Leadership, threatening to detain him. Still on judiciary reports, as the demand for justice for the slain pregnant lawyer Bolanle Rahim heightens, the court has remanded the suspected killer cop Jambi Vandi at the Koyi Correctional Center, Lagos State, till January. He said the decision was taken after Vandi was arraigned for pulling the trigger that claimed Rahim's life on Christmas Day in the Ajah area of Lagos State. Hundayan added that the order was to give room for the advice of the Directorate of Public Prosecutions. In a separate development, German companies have perfected plans to boost activities in Nigeria and other African countries come 2023. According to a survey, the German companies hope to capitalize on opportunities in areas such as green hydrogen and liquefied natural gas, with 43% planning to increase investment in the continent. The poll of members of the German African Business Association also showed that a further 39% of the association's members aim to keep their spending levels in Africa stable. Africa in 2021, of which about 1.1 billion euros went to the sub-Saharan region. Elsewhere, Lagos State government says the proposed construction of the fourth mainland bridge project will be completed in 2027. The special advisor to the governor on public-private partnerships, Ope George, and his Alauza Ikeja Lagos. They said the official flag-off for the construction of the project will be presided over by the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in the first quarter of 2023. The special advisors said the bridge, when completed, would become the second largest in Africa, with 3 toll plazas, 9 interchanges, a 4.5-kilometer lagoon bridge, and an eco-friendly environment. In politics, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike and other aggrieved governors of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) have arrived in Port Harcourt, the state capital. Known as the G5 or the Integrity Group, the members include their hosts Wike Rivers, Seyi Makinde Oyo, Samuel Otom Benue, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi Enugu, and Okezie Ikpeazu of Abia State. Recall that the 5 governors had demanded the resignation of the PDP national chairman, Senator Iyorchia Ayu, as a precondition to support the presidential ambition of Atiku Abubakar in the 2023 elections. In Cross River, Governor Ben Ayade has signed the State 2023 Appropriation Bill into law. The budget christened Quantum Ceremony, which took place at the State Executive Council Chamber, had the Deputy Governor Professor Ivara Isu, the State Assembly Speaker Eteng Jones, and other top government functionaries in attendance. Speaking at the event, the governor said he recognized the absolute appropriation powers of the legislature and was signing the budget for the good of the state. Ayade explained that the budget, which is his last as governor, will enable his government undertake some of its social welfare policies within his remaining months in office, such as the conditional cash transfer. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel says his administration will complete about 60 kilometers of roads in Orowanam local government area before the end of his administration, and the 4.94 Ibesit Okpokoro Ikoribritam Road in Orowanam. The governor said the road projects were in fulfillment of his promise to the people of the area, assuring that the remaining roads and bridges with other development projects would be completed before the end of his administration. Governor Emmanuel therefore thanked the people of the area for providing an enabling environment for the contractors to operate. The governor, who commended the contractors for the quality of work done, appealed to the people of the area to protect the project, especially the solar power systems installed on the road. Meanwhile, Governor Udom Emmanuel has encouraged the people of Akwa Ibom State to invest in commercial agriculture as a way of generating sustainable income. Governor Emmanuel gave the encouragement while inaugurating a cassava starch processing plant in Orogonam local government area. He said his administration had created an enabling environment by establishing processing plants to add value to agricultural produce to sell their products at a better price. Government House correspondent Jane Owa reports that the governor said the starch processing factory would meet the increasing need for industrial starch in the country's pharmaceutical and food industries.
This complete value chain, so that whatsoever you produce, we can actually achieve what I call appropriate pricing. Even right now, with what we are building in Ukarafun for palm kernel, crude palm kernel oil, and palm oil, women shouldn't be staying. We have created outlets, even for cassava, where we want to off-take, so that you can have appropriate pricing for what you are producing. If you're producing cassava, you should be able to train your children with gari or with that cassava. You should be able to also live a very comfortable life with it. So we are creating this enabling environment as government so that we can improve the lives of the people. We can also minimize poverty.
Million hack claim. Do stay with us.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by across them. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leaving the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. This case.
A program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of the
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian. From issues on politics,
Hello, Nigeria. I remain committed.
security, and again every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Many thanks for staying tuned. Moving on now to Africa, where the trial in Mali of 46 Ivorian troops whose detention has sparked a diplomatic row between the two countries wrapped up today. The trial opened in the capital Bamako yesterday in the run-up to a January 1. Soldiers said arguments had been made and those involved were awaiting the court's verdict. According to reports, the court proceedings were held behind closed doors and under heavy security. Recall that 49 troops from Ivory Coast were detained after they arrived at Bamako airport on July 10, while 3 of them, all women, were later freed. Those remaining branded by Mali. Still in Africa, Gambia has revealed a detailed plan of alleged coup plotters. The Gambia's newly appointed National Security Advisor Abubakar Jang provided new details of last week's coup bid in a press briefing in Banjul. He also presented the government's response to the foiled scheme and said investigators were looking into the different angles of the coup. Zhang noted that the alleged
reports are pointing to the suspected involvement of sponsors for the coup plot from civilian collaborators who are both within and outside of the country. The investigations are seriously looking into this angle. In addition, in accordance with the laws of the Gambia and in line with international best practice, the Gambia government has constituted
returns today, ending a year-long battle by the former president to keep his finances private as he prepares for another run at the White House in 2024. The Republican leader, who lost his re-election bid as he served a single term from 2017 to 2021, broke with the House's Ways and Means Committee had released a summary earlier in December of 6 years of filings from 2015 through 2020 as part of investigations into the presidential audit program. The documents showed that Trump was not being regularly audited by the Internal Revenue Service. The returns themselves released today were not expected to yield sensational new revelations, but Democrats hope they will add detail on Trump's businesses and particularly any foreign concerns that might present conflicts of interest. Still from the foreign scene, Russian President Vladimir Putin has told Chinese President Xi Jinping today that he was keen to ramp up military cooperation. Battered by unprecedented Western sanctions over Moscow's assault against Ukraine, Putin has hoped to strengthen political and military ties with China. Yet Moscow's offensive in Ukraine but has offered diplomatic backing to its strategic ally Russia as the new Cold War intensifies between Beijing and Washington. Putin told Xi by video link at the start of the talks that he aimed to strengthen cooperation between the armed forces of Russia and China, calling the Chinese leader a dear friend. The Russian president also hailed the efforts of Xi to visit Russia in the spring 2023 in what would be a public show of solidarity from Beijing. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin says his country and China will reach a trade turnover of $200 billion earlier than planned. He said this year Russia became one of the leaders in oil exports to China, second in pipeline gas supplies, and fourth in deliveries of liquefied natural gas. Putin said relations between Russia and China were the best in history as they withstood all the tests. On his part, China's president told Putin that Beijing and Moscow should closely coordinate and cooperate in international affairs. Xi also told Putin that on the issue. In the meantime, Ukraine's army says it repelled an overnight drone attack on the country a day after Russia launched a barrage of missiles with Iranian-made kamikaze drones. It said a total of 16 drones were launched from the southeastern and northern directions, and they were all destroyed by Ukraine's air defense. In the capital, Kiev, city over 2 hours. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko later said the capital was attacked with 7 drones, 2 of which were shot down on approach and 5 shot down over the city. He added that in a related development, United States President Joe Biden has signed off on a $1.7 trillion spending bill that will keep the U.S. government funded through the next fiscal year, notably including another big package for Ukraine's war effort. The legislation includes $45 billion in emergency military and economic aid. Vladimir Zelensky was in Washington earlier this month to plead for increased U.S. assistance. Biden tweeted that the U.S. will invest in medical research, safety, veteran health care, disaster recovery, and funding for programs combating violence against women. Still on the crisis, Stoltenberg said it was in all the country's security interests to make sure Ukraine prevailed and that the Russian President Vladimir Putin did not win. He said it was perhaps even more important that Ukraine received enough ammunition. Away from that, a court in military-ruled Myanmar has found the country's toppled leader Aung San Suu Kyi guilty of corruption charges. A legal officer noted that the court had sentenced her to 7 years in prison in the last of a string of criminal cases in an 18-month-long trial process. The 7 convicted on every charge leveled against her, ranging from corruption to illegally possessing walkie-talkies and flouting COVID-19 restrictions. The court's ruling today leaves the deposed leader with a total of 33 years to serve in prison, following 21. In the case that concluded today, Aung San Suu Kyi was alleged to have abused her position and caused a loss of state funds by neglecting to follow financial regulations in granting permission to a cabinet member in her former government, Win Myat Aye, to hire, buy and maintain a helicopter. Who was president in her government was a co-defendant in the same case. In another development, China has reiterated its opposition to the potential arms sales from the US to Taiwan region after Washington approved the sale of an anti-tank mine-laying system to the island. According to reports, the potential sale would cost an estimated 180 million Taiwan and to stop creating new tensions in the Taiwan Straits. Addressing a news briefing, Wenbin warned that China will take strong measures in defending its sovereignty and security interests. In the meantime, President of the Republic of the Philippines, Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., will pay a state, announced this today. Pyongyang said the Filipino leader was visiting at the invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping. Let's head now to the Philippines, where heavy rains and floods that have devastated parts of the country have left at least 44 people dead. The National Disaster Response Agency confirmed the figures today. The agency added that 28 people were still missing from the disaster. Elsewhere, the death toll from a fire at a Cambodian hotel casino, noting that nearly 100 people were injured. Rescuers today continued combing through the 17th-floor building for most survivors after a massive fire engulfed it on Wednesday night. Cambodian Prime Minister Samdech Hun Sen expressed condolences for the victims today and urged authorities and high-rise building owners to strengthen fire safety and response procedures. According to the police, the cause of the blaze remains under investigation. In our business news, the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure has partnered a German firm, Atmosphere Germany, to design and this to reporters. According to Haruna, this is in a bid to promote the United Nations agenda on clean energy. He said the distribution of the stoves and cooking pots had been approved for all the geopolitical zones. Watchdog is to investigate Twitter after a hacker claimed to have private details linked to more than 400 million accounts. The hacker, Ryushi, is demanding $200,000 to hand over the data, reported to include that of some celebrities, and delete it. Ireland's Data Protection Commission says it will examine Twitter's compliance with data protection law in relation to consumer prices rose 5.1% year-on-year in 2022. This is said to be the fastest pace in more than 2 decades, as reflected in government data. The development comes as the country felt the pinch of soaring raw materials and energy prices in the wake of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Still to come in the news. Fury Usyk.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone. We paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Messi! Oh my goodness!
On Battle of the Fans. With expert analysis, previews and reviews of the biggest games in the biggest leagues, as well as football fan banter that never goes out of style.
To delay the progress of the league, it means you're not capable. They have done their job. If to be honest, if you look at them, they have done their job.
Join us Wednesdays 5 to 6:30 p.m. Saturdays 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Only on Spectrum Television.
It is Cristiano Ronaldo! What goal! What a finish!
Battle of the Fans. Exclusive to Spectrum TV.
And thanks for staying tuned. Now in health, the Nigerian Medical Association says the scourge of brain drain is immensely hitting the nation's health sector hard, and that the federal government should take steps to stop it. The association has also urged the federal government to provide doctors with the equipment and facilities needed to work in brain drain. The NMA president, Dr. Uche Ojima, lamented that the difficulties faced by Nigerian doctors had worsened in recent times. He further noted that the country was still plagued with diseases such as COVID-19 and Lassa fever and required equipment to tackle them. Still in health, China's health officials today held a video meeting with the World Health Organization and exchanged views on the current COVID-19 situation, treatment, and vaccinations. China's National Health Commission confirmed this in a statement. The commission noted that both parties had agreed to. Meanwhile, the Indonesian President Joko Widodo has removed all remaining measures to control the spread of COVID-19, effective immediately. The president told a news conference today that there will be no more restrictions on gatherings and movements. He noted that the decision was taken based on the level of at least one booster vaccine shot, but authorities still required masks to be worn indoors and use of a COVID tracker app when entering most public spaces. In a related development, UK is set to announce that passengers arriving from China will need a negative COVID test before they travel, as cases surge after Beijing moved to end its zero COVID policy. It comes after China said it would fully reopen its borders next week for the first time since March 2020. Several nations like the US and India are also enforcing testing. Disputed heavyweight title fight with Tyson Fury. Fury and Usyk are the leading two heavyweights in the world and are set on a contest to decide the world number one, likely to take place in the first quarter of 2023. Fury is the reigning WBC champion and has fought twice in the UK this year in stadium fights, beating Dillian White, then Derek Chisora. Recall that Usyk first defeated and turned to Ukraine earlier this year when Russia invaded his country, but in August returned to boxing and defended his belt when he beat Joshua in their rematch in Saudi Arabia. So in sports, Great Britain's tennis star Harriet Dahlia at the United Cup. Wins on day one for Cameron Norrie and Katie Swan meant Britain were already 2-love up over their group opponents. English was a late call-up for the match after Angela Tomljanovic withdrew with a knee injury. That 6-4 set to face their other group opponents, Spain, with the first match being contested between Norrie and Rafael Nadal on Saturday. Elsewhere, Premier League and English Football League clubs are set to wear black armbands and hold a minute's applause to honor Brazil football legend Pelé from across the world. The Premier League's next round begins with 2 matches today and concludes on Sunday with all 10 games paying tribute. Meanwhile, football's world governing body FIFA has lowered flags at its headquarters in Switzerland. Meanwhile, Brazil has begun 3 days of national mourning following the death of the football legend Pelé. Emotional Brazilians had flocked to the Sao Paulo hospital where Ore translated as his career. His wake will be held Monday, to be followed on Tuesday by what is expected to be a massive funeral procession through the southeastern city, then a private burial ceremony. The invasion of Ukraine would remain firmly in place in 2023. The committee's president Thomas Bach said Ukrainian athletes had the Olympic movement's full solidarity, and the organization wanted to see a strong Ukrainian team. No international sports events being organized or supported in Russia or Belarus, and no national symbols of the countries being displayed at any sports event. The title by her hometown. Adichie, who hails from Aba in Anambra State, was today honored with the title of Odelua Aba. The governor of Anambra State, Charles Soludo, among other dignitaries, were present at the ceremony. Apologized publicly to Nollywood actor Alex Ekubo after she cancelled their August 2021 wedding plans. Cholonu and Ekubo officially announced their engagement in May 2021, but 3 months later, Fancy deleted all pictures of Alex from her Instagram page and their joint Instagram account, announced, saying that nothing made sense to her while she was away from him. She further apologized for the pain she had caused him and his family. Elsewhere, a controversial British-American kickboxer turned internet personality Andrew Tate, according to Romanian prosecutors, Tate and Tristan will be held for questioning for up to 24 hours. Footage broadcast on Romanian television last night showed Tate, one of the most high-profile and divisive influencers, being led into a police vehicle by armed policemen. In a statement, Romania's Directorate for Investigating Organized Crime and Terrorism said 4 individuals, 2 United Kingdom citizens and 2 Romanian nationals, were alleged to have formed a criminal. The Directorate said investigators had identified 6 alleged victims who had been sexually exploited by the group. It noted that the group lured the women by expressing interest in a romantic relationship before using physical violence, intimidation, and surveillance to force them into producing pornographic material. In the punk movement, Vivienne Westwood yesterday died at 81. Westwood's eponymous fashion house announced her death on social media platforms. The house noted that Westwood died peacefully and did not disclose a cause of death. West's style took the world by storm. She, however, went on to enjoy a long career, highlighted by a string of triumphant runway shows in London, Paris, Milan, and New York. The name Westwood became synonymous with style and attitude, even as she shifted focus from year to year with a vast range. And for you at this time, do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, wishing you a terrific night rest and Happy New Year ahead.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai.
Messi. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
When it comes to football, the passion is unrivaled and the heat never stops. Be a part of the unending actions, previews and reviews of the biggest games in the biggest leagues, as well as football fan banter that never goes out of style.
To delay the progress of the league, it means you're not capable. They have done their job. If to be honest, if you look at them, they have done their job.
Join us Wednesdays 5 to 6:30 p.m. Saturdays 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Only on Spectrum Television.
It is Cristiano Ronaldo!
Battle of the Fans. Exclusive.
Season's greetings from Spectrum TV.